Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
But jumping right over to the lineup. So I know I have some thoughts, and I've compiled some numbers here, and I have some ideas on, like, there's kind of two different ways I feel like they could go about this, because I don't, now that Chapman's back, the first thing I'm going to say is I do not like where they have him hitting. I don't think that's in the best interest of the club, and I have a bunch of numbers that are going to support that. But I do think there are kind of two options here, and I think the big thing is you got to get Chapman up in the lineup and get him up in front of Devers. Because, and yeah, I mean, we can all talk about how Devers is currently swinging it. I think most of us believe that's going to change sometime, hopefully sooner than later. But similar to with Adames, you're like, okay, this guy's been too good of a hitter for too long. At some point, it's going to come around. But I do think it's important to get Chapman up in front of Devers. And, this is a guy that has over a 350 on base percentage this season, which is kind of nuts. He's like 96th or 97th percentile on both walk rate and chase rate. So he gets on base, like he draws walks. He has plus speed. He's got nice power, obviously, and he does some things really good. Lots of extra base hits, which is great. Set the table in front of the other guys, because the one thing that Matt Chapman does not do well, and they currently have him in a run producing role, is hit with runners in scoring position, where he is this season hitting 209 with a 730 OPS and a 30.6% strikeout rate. And for his career, he's hitting, last season, he hit 230 with a 788 OPS, 27.1% strikeout rate. In his career, he's a 242 hitter, 786, 27.4 strikeout rate. So essentially, you're seeing a guy that's an outhouse or castle option. Yeah. Like, he'll hit some homers, doesn't come through with a ton of hits, though. Struggles tremendously in those situations. We've seen so many times, and even just this last week, he had opportunities where he just needed a sac fly, couldn't get the guy in. Willie picked him up like 2 times in a row against Sacramento the other day. Now, the converse of this is right now you've got Elliot Ramos hitting leadoff, who, he does get on base at a pretty good clip, but he's not getting on like Chapman is. And then you look at Elliot Ramos's career numbers with runners in scoring position. He's a 284 hitter with 781 OPS. So, like, he's a guy that, similar strikeout rates, but he's a guy that comes through with the hits way more frequently. So to me, like, the easy solution, I'm going to give you guys kind of two options. I'll get your guys' thoughts on this. To me, the easy solution is swap those guys, have Ramos hitting either third or fourth behind Devers with Adames, right there with them. They need to get rid of this whole right, left crap. Just get your 2 run producers behind Devers, in my opinion. But the easy solution would be swap them. The other one I could see, and I have some more to support this. The other one I could see is, if you do want to keep Ramos where he's at, would actually be to bump Devers to third and have Chapman hit second, where it's actually been his best spot in the lineup his entire career. He's got a 258 average, 832 OPS. It's both his highest average and highest OPS of any spot in the lineup. So I feel like that would be the other solution, and then go Devers third, Willie fourth. But, like, to me, you've got to get Chapman up in the lineup. I don't think having him hitting cleanup is in the best interest of this club right now.
So to your point there, because that's kind of what I was thinking. In my opinion, your 2 through 5 should go Chapman 2, Devers 3, Ramos 4, Willie 5. Like you mentioned, screw the right, left. I think the 2 through 5, when you're looking for run producers in your lineup, and I've been saying this since the day we press go live on the show 2 years ago, put your guys in the best position to help the team and them succeed. And as you mentioned with those numbers, like, these are the roles that are best suited for these guys. So whatever you want to do at leadoff, whether you want to go Yaz or whether Jung Hoo Lee finally figures it out again and you want to plug him there, whatever goes there, you can make that interchangeable with the 1 through 6 hole. Casey 7, and then who am I missing? Yeah, Bailey, wherever, who cares about him? But you know what I mean with the meat of your lineup, the 2 through 5. That's what I really think you should do. So in an ideal world, you'd have an actual leadoff hitter to set the table for Chapman. You know, maybe he can get him to move over. Maybe, you know, he can draw a walk, whatever it's going to do. And then you get the Devers, Ramos, Adames guys coming up with runners on base. Then you're setting yourself up for success. That's how I think they should go through and do it. I mean, if you guys have a different opinion, feel free. But just in my opinion, the 1, 6, 7, 8, 9 hole, those are interchangeable. The 2 through 5 should really be set with those core guys.
Yeah. Me personally, until Lee shows some sign of life and that he can be a competent hitter again and not just hit lazy fly balls, I feel like you pretty much have to keep Ramos in the leadoff spot. I don't really feel like you have any other choice. I know they like to throw Yaz up there. I really don't like Yaz leading off whatsoever, even if it's against right-handed pitching. I prefer to keep him down at the bottom where I feel like he's been a lot more of a competent hitter. And I feel like with Yaz hitting, say, 7th or even 8th and hitting in front of Bailey, I feel like it's not as bad. It feels like you're stretching out the lineup a little bit because you're not really putting as much pressure on him to do anything, but he can kind of be a little bit of a table setter at times down there when you get to that bottom half of the lineup, saying like the, 3rd inning or whatever. And then you have Bailey coming up after him. If Bailey's not hitting into a double play, then you have Yaz on base with a little bit of speed. And then you have Ramos come up after him. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of prefer Ramos first, then going with Chapman in the 2 hole, like you said, having Devers down to 3, Willie down to 4, especially with the way he's been hitting as of late. And then going and separating right and left a tiny bit with Dom Smith after Willie hitting 5th, and then going down to Casey and Lee after that. That's kind of where I'm at. I like Dom getting those opportunities hitting 5th because I feel like you're just getting a lot more consistency out of those at bats. He's a guy that, if any one of those top 4 guys is getting on 3rd base with less than 2 outs, I really trust Dom Smith to get you a deep fly ball and giving you that veteran at bat up there with a runner in scoring position, even if it's just moving a guy over with a fly ball. I just feel like I like him there a little bit more than, say, a Yaz, a Schmidt, or a Lee right after cleanup.
And I agree with you guys. I do prefer the option of keeping Ramos up and just moving Chapman right behind him. I just was like, these are like kind of the 2 solutions I can see with what they've got. Yeah, and there is kind of an option 3 would have been putting Yaz up there if you did want to try and go a little more right left or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you would need to, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to go 2 righties in a row because I think you have to go Ramos, Adames in whatever order behind Devers. Like, we can't be bumping one of those guys behind a lefty just for the sake of it being right left. Like, that's the part where I don't like it. But yeah, I mean, like, to me, that if go, keep Ramos up there, he's actually one of the best on the team with a 343 on base, which is perfect. And a guy on first is perfect for Chapman. And we saw it multiple times this season because what's the one thing that Chapman does exceptionally well? Hit the ball on the right side.
Yeah.
Right,
I was going to say
big asshole is
get him more fastballs, more, predictable counts, and then taking advantage of that hole that way for sure. That's exactly what my thought was with him in the 2 hole for sure. And, if Lee does end up picking it up in the second half, which I do think he'll come around, especially with that little bit of a break, they get like 5 days off or something like that with the All-Star break. I think that will help Lee out a lot. I think just when we saw him, I want to say it was the Arizona series recently, Lee got that day off. and he came back hitting a lot better than the last 2 games of the Diamondbacks series. So I think with the All-Star break, Lee will come back a lot fresher since he hasn't really experienced a full 162 yet. And I think he'll be a lot better offensively after that. And if he does pick it up, then you go and slide Lee right back into the leadoff spot. And then it makes the whole lineup a hell of a lot better because you have Lee where he really should be hitting when he's right. And then you can go and protect Devers by having Ramos hit behind him. And then you can ideally move Chapman down to like 5 or 6 if you want, which is more of a fitting spot for him and a little bit less pressure. And then the bottom of your order looks really good again. So it looks a lot deeper.
Yeah. When you're hitting Lee and Schmidt at like 6-7 or 7-8 or whatever, however they line it up, like if you've got Lee and Schmidt hitting in the 5 through 7 spots or 6 through 8, whatever, wherever, that lineup is just so much better than what we saw trotting out there for a while.
Yeah.
So it's just a massive difference. And JR, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here. I mean, part of the why you could put Ramos back is for more protection, but you are giving Devers protection. Like you have Adames. And we all saw what Adames looked like early in the year. Like, don't get me wrong. We all saw it. It was ugly. But in his last 30 games, he's hitting 276 with if my math is correct here, an 6 home runs, 19 RBIs, and an 844 OPS. Like, that guy's protecting plenty at the moment. Yeah. And if you go even just this last week, basically, he's got 8 RBIs. So he's been producing. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think overall, I think Devers will look a lot better as well after the break. I think all these guys just getting a little bit of rest will really kind of be a nice reset for all of them. And then I just think that will clear everything up in general. And like you guys said, if you have Devers, more importantly, getting that protection with Ramos hitting behind him, you might start seeing Devers stop chasing so many of those high fastballs up above the zone. And then what ends up happening is you get Devers in a lot of good counts and getting a lot of fastballs up over the plate and putting him in a lot better position to hit.
Mm-hmm. I put this up just to get a reaction out of Dan.
I chose to ignore it.